1 and 2 and. Welcome back, everybody. In this video, our focus is going to be exercise number 7 from Solo Guitar Playing 1 by Frederick M. And we are just continuing to practice playing open strings, the first 3 strings, the first string being E, the second string B, and the third string G. Okay? Remember to practice these exercises with both rest strokes and free strokes, and by starting the exercise with both your middle finger and your index finger. Now, in this exercise, I decided to play this with my middle finger first because you have less awkward string crossings throughout the exercise if you start with your middle finger first. There is a lot more if you happen to start this exercise with your index finger. Okay, so let's just run through measure by measure, and when we get to some awkward string crossings, I'll let you know. But otherwise, this is more or less review. Well, the one thing that's new is the time signature, so we can discuss that. We have a time signature of 2/4. So if you remember, in my previous video, you could just simply read the time signatures as 2 quarter notes. Remember, the 4 stands for, or it represents, the quarter note. If that bottom number were a 2, it would represent a half note. If it were an 8, it'd represent an eighth note. Okay? So in this time signature, we have 2 quarter notes per measure. All right? So we don't count to 3, we don't count to 4. It's just 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And it gives it a bit of a different feel. All right? So here we go. Exercise 7, our first measure, we have 2 Gs. Start with your middle finger. 3, 4, 1, 2, and 1, 2. Pretty straightforward. You could put your thumb on the 4th, the 5th, or the 6th string. I preferred on the 4th, although when I was playing this, I wasn't really paying attention, so I might have had it on a different string. All right. Second measure, same thing. It's just B now. Second string. 1, 2, and 1, 2. Pretty straightforward. Measure 3, same thing, open string. Well, they're all open strings at this point. We haven't learned anything on the actual frets. So, third measure, first string open. 1, 2, and 1, 2. And then on measure 4, we return to the B on the second string. 1, 2, and. I don't believe there were any awkward string crossings. I would have noticed. Let me see. Let me double check. Yeah, everything's laid out perfectly. We don't have any awkward string crossings in this case. Not in this, at least not in the first 4 measures. Moving on to measure 5, we have a G followed by a B. Third string into second string. 1, 2, 1, 2. That's it. Remember, there is no 3, there is no 4, which is why I'm counting 1, 2. I'll try and slow it down, though. That might have kind of caught you by surprise there. If not, good. All right. No awkward string crossings yet. Into measure 6, we have, it's the same thing. Measure 6 and measure 5 are the same thing. So here we go. Measure 6. 1, 2, and 1, 2. Now, going from measure 5 to measure 6, we do have our first instance of awkward string crossings. We're playing a B with our middle finger at the end of measure 5. Wait, no, I'm sorry, I take that back. I take that back. Never mind. Into measure 7, we have an E being played with our index finger at this point. 1, 2, and 1, 2. Remember, a half note is 2 counts. I should have mentioned that in measure 4. We only have quarter notes and half notes in this exercise because of our time signature. A dotted half note is 3 counts, it won't fit, and a whole note is 4 counts, that also won't fit. And we haven't learned anything besides those, besides 4 note values. So there are other note values that will fit, but they're smaller durations, and we haven't learned those yet. Measure 8 is the same thing. We're just playing it with our middle finger instead of our first finger. 1, 2, and 1, 2, and stop. Now we did have one instance of an awkward string crossing that is going from measure 6 to measure 7. We are playing our B with our middle finger here at the end of measure 6, and then we're playing an E, which is your first string, on measure 7 with our index finger. So that's our first instance. So we only have one so far, all right? Going into measure 9, we have 2 Bs, starting with our index finger. 1, 2, and 1, 2. Okay? Into measure 10, we're playing E's now. 1, 2, and 1, 2. And here we have another instance of awkward string crossings. We're playing B at the end of measure 9 with our middle finger, into E at the beginning of measure 10 with our index finger. So there's our second one. Measure 9, 10, measure 11, we go back to B's. Index first, followed by middle. 1, 2, and 1, 2. Okay, into measure 9, 10, 11, 12, we're playing that G with our index finger. 1, 2, and 1. Pretty straightforward, no string crossings yet, or awkward string crossings. Into measure 9, I keep having to count 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. G again, only we're playing them, only there are 2 of them because they are chord notes, and each chord note is going to receive one of those 2 counts within the measure. 1, 2, and 1, 2. Oops, let me try that again. 1, 2, and 1, 2. All right, next measure. We have 2 B's using our middle finger first. 1, 2, and 1, 2. Oops, I'm missing everything on my first string today. 1, 2 again. 1, 2, and 1, 2. There we go. Any awkward string crossings? Let's see. M, I, nothing. Okay, first string on measure 15. 1, 2, and 1, 2. And then again on measure 16. 1, 2, and 1, 2. You're done. So there were only, I think, 2, maybe 3. What I want you to do is I want you to play the exercise starting with your index finger, and I want you to identify all of the awkward string crossings, because there will definitely be more than 2 or 3. So I guess what I'm trying to get at is, as you are learning new material, it's always a good idea to think about what finger to use. You don't just kind of play and kind of feel it out. You have to actively participate in the decision-making process when it comes to which fingers to use first, because using one finger over the other will be either easier or more difficult. So if you can identify which one is going to be easier, then that is going to be the one that you want to make sure you practice with. Write it down. That way, when you practice it, you're always practicing it the same way, and you're always practicing the easier way to play it. All right? So that is exercise 7. Practice it, and when you're ready, I will see you in exercise number 8. 1, 1, 2.